go to the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Weber, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Phillips, as you probably know, I represent a significant portion of the LNG export industry with Freeport LNG. We have 7 ports. We've upper Gulf Coast of Texas, 1/3 of the Gulf Coast. Freeport LNG, Golden Pass, Port Arthur LNG, as well as many of the employees of Cheniere Energy over in Louisiana, that other foreign country, which is just across the Sabine Neches. However, we're concerned about FERC's overlapping, duplicative, and sometimes conflicting requirements with other agencies. I hear from our LNG people, our energy people all the time, and it's extremely important. For example, FERC appears to be asking operators to implement additional emergency response measures along the waterway that go way beyond what's actually required. Now, we're talking about waterway. We're talking about exporting LNG out from the Gulf Coast. It's actually required by the Coast Guard. And they do a jam-up job of actually making sure that we export LNG safely, cleanly, responsibly. So FERC also requires semi-annual operations reports, which ask for exactly, much of it is the same information in PHMSA's required annual operations report. Earlier this year, I authored a bipartisan bill requiring FERC, PHMSA, and the Coast Guard to produce additional memorandums of understanding. Let's get this tied together, seeking to mitigate regulatory overlap and duplication so that there's not quite so much paperwork involved. I don't know if you're aware of that. So my question is, how is FERC coordinating with those other agencies to reduce that regulatory overlap? And would you support that proposal, my proposal, for FERC, PHMSA, and Coast Guard to produce additional interagency agreements to address duplicative and conflicting agency requirements? Does that sound like it could save some man-hours, some effort, and some money?
I will say this, we have been focused at FERC on bringing down the timelines to actually permit infrastructure that we know we need. When it comes to working with our sister agencies, this is something that we do on a staff level all the time. Are there opportunities for improvement? Absolutely. I haven't had a chance to review the legislation that you're talking about, but I would be able to provide technical assistance, and I'll make my staff available to you, sir.
Well, we want you to do more than just look into it. We want you to, of course, act, because it's important. And so I appreciate your response there. I'll go to all the rest of the commissioners here with my second question. Despite the Biden administration's acknowledgement of the importance of natural gas in supporting global energy security, DOE announced a ban on LNG exports. Y'all are aware of that. This pause impacts United States Energy's infrastructure development, especially in my district along the Gulf Coast, where we produce 65% of the nation's jet fuel, 80% of the nation's military-grade fuel, and 3 LNG plants. And we actually got Port Arthur LNG, which is on the drawing board, if you will. They have phase 1, now they want to go phase 2. All of a sudden, they have a big red flag, stop sign. And so earlier this month, a federal court in Louisiana granted a request, as y'all probably know, from 16 states to stay DOE's ban effective immediately. Simple yes or no questions. I'll start down here with Commissioner Chang. Does the U.S. have a fundamental interest to advance needed infrastructure to match our country's abundant natural gas supply with international demand? It's a yes or no.
Thank you for that question. I do think U.S. has a critical role to play in international and global energy issues, including the
So yes, the U.S. has a
export of
fundamental
LNG.
interest. Commissioner C?
Yes, matching infrastructure with demand is important.
Okay.
Yes.
We don't want to be the minority down here. Commissioner Christie?
Yes, and if I could add to something to your earlier question, this chairman's done a great job on handling Section 3 and Section 7 applications under the Natural Gas Act. He has shown tremendous leadership.
Don't tell him that. He's going to want to raise.
Well, that's up to you all.
Yeah.
For the rest of us too, by the way. But he has done an absolutely fantastic job in moving these applications.
We're running out of time. I got to get to him.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank my friend, Commissioner Christie, for what he said. And the answer to your question is yes.
Thank you. Yes or no, do domestic LNG facilities bolster international energy supply that is competitive, accessible, and environmentally friendly? I'm down to 7 minutes. I think y'all would agree. And my last one is, does U.S. LNG export capacity afford our nation a competitive advantages? I think so. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.